Okay, today we're going to be dealing with the domain, the vertical, and the horizontal asymptotes. So if I gave you this equation right here, y equals 4 over x, and I asked you to find the domain of this function. First, let's deal with this. And the domain is all of our x values, okay? Anything that x can be. And so if we look at this particular one, if we were to graph it, it would cover just about all the numbers. The problem is it wouldn't cover one number, and what we're going to look at now is what that number is. X in this case, it can be anything. Okay, we've got x right here. X can be anything except for one number. And the only number that it cannot be is 0. We cannot have 0 on the bottom. It can't be 0 on the denominator. So in this case, x can be anything, all real numbers, except 0. Okay, we just can't have 0 on the bottom. And if we were to graph this one, the graph would look something like this. Here's our xy axis. And it would come across, it would look something like this. Okay, x would be every number as we go along all through these. It can be any of these numbers, and it can be any of these numbers. The only thing that it can't be, you'll notice right here, this the actual graph of this one continues up, and it continues up, and keeps going and gets closer and closer, ever so close to this y-axis. It never does touch the y-axis. And so when it comes really close to that y-axis but never touches it, we consider that our asymptote. So on this particular one, the vertical asymptote is going to be right at x equals 0. Because on this particular one, our domain on this one would be all real numbers except 0, so the vertical asymptote would be x equals 0. It equals everything except for 0. Would get really close to it but not touch it. Now when we're dealing with our horizontal asymptote, the number here that it gets really close to but never quite touches as we go across. And that one, on this particular one, we'll get into more of the reason why in the next one, but all of these that we're dealing with right now, our horizontal asymptote is going to be right at y equals 0. So I'm just going to go horizontal asymptote is going to be right at y equals 0. And again, that's this number right here. This is a horizontal line right at y equals 0. It gets really close to it but never quite touches.